Someone hurt you, betrayed you, and part of you wants them to suffer. That feeling is human, natural, maybe even justified. In 175 AD, Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome, the most powerful man in the world, received devastating news. His trusted general, Avidius Cassius, had rebelled, declared himself emperor, taken control of key eastern provinces and the troops stationed there. This wasn't just a political challenge. Cassius had been a valued commander, respected for his discipline and military skill. Marcus had entrusted him with extraordinary authority in the east, and now Cassius claimed his throne. Other emperors answered betrayal with terror and bloodshed, but Marcus chose something different. Not because he was weak, but because he understood something about revenge that most people never grasp. This is the story of that choice, and why it remains one of the strongest acts of leadership in history. Part 1. The Betrayal. April 175 AD. Marcus Aurelius was stationed on the Danube frontier, leading long and exhausting campaigns against Germanic tribes. The empire was strained by war and by the lingering Antonine plague. In the east, rumors spread. Marcus was dead and or too ill to continue ruling. The reports reached Avidius Cassius, a capable but ambitious commander. Believing the rumors, or perhaps using them, he allowed himself to be proclaimed emperor. Egypt acknowledged him, then Syria, then Arabia. The eastern armies supported him, giving him formidable power. The betrayal was personal as well as political. Cassius had been one of Rome's most reliable generals. Marcus had favored him for years. Some ancient writers later speculated that Marcus's wife, Faustina, may have encouraged Cassius out of fear for their son's future. But no reliable source confirms this, and most modern historians consider it doubtful. Still, the rumors existed, and Marcus knew the damage they caused. When news of the rebellion reached him, his advisors expected immediate retaliation. A swift march east, executions, confiscations, display of imperial wrath. Instead, Marcus did something unexpected. He kept the news quiet at first, not out of fear, but to think. Later, Cassius Dio records Marcus expressing a remarkable sentiment to his troops in the Senate. He wished he could resolve the matter peacefully. He would even step aside if Cassius were judged the better leader. No Roman emperor had ever said such a thing. Marcus told his men the rebellion was an opportunity to settle this affair well and show all mankind that even civil conflicts can be handled with justice. He would march east, but he would not seek Cassius's death. Before he arrived, the decision was taken out of his hands. Cassius was assassinated by a centurion loyal to Rome. His head was sent to Marcus. Marcus refused to see it. He ordered it buried immediately. The rebellion was over. Its consequences were not. Part 2. The Choice. Marcus entered the eastern provinces with overwhelming military authority. Senators who had supported Cassius feared the worst. Provincial governors braced for execution. This was the moment emperors traditionally unleashed terror. Civil war was usually followed by purges. Marcus refused. He protected senators from prosecution. He pardoned governors who had sided with Cassius. He insisted that his reign remain free of political bloodshed. He wrote to the Senate asking them not to stain his rule with executions. He wanted no retaliatory killings. Why? Because Marcus understood three truths about revenge. 1. Revenge cannot change the past. Cassius's death didn't undo the rebellion. Punishing his supporters wouldn't restore trust. Striking back wouldn't heal anything. Revenge is an attempt to rewrite what already happened, and no amount of blood can do that. 2. Revenge creates more enemies than it destroys. Kill Cassius's allies, and their families become enemies. Punish provinces, and resentment deepens. Shed blood, and you plant seeds of future rebellion. Marcus wrote in Meditations, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." Not as moral advice, but as political strategy. 3. Revenge is a form of slavery. It forces a person to remain tied to the one who harmed them. Every thought becomes a reaction. Every action a continuation of the injury. Marcus wrote, "When you are offended by someone's fault, turn to yourself. Consider your own failings. Then your anger will vanish." Not because betrayal doesn't matter, but because anger hands control to the offender. Forgiveness for Marcus wasn't softness. It was independence. Part 3, the Stoic Framework. How did Marcus overcome betrayal without revenge? He used Stoic practice. Practice 1. Recognize shared humanity. Marcus reminded himself, even the wrongdoer acts from motives humans all share. Fear, ambition, insecurity, misjudgment. Cassius wasn't a monster, just a human who chose badly. And humans can be understood, even forgiven. Practice 2. Focus on what can be controlled. Marcus could not control Cassius's ambition, the rumors about his own health, the senators who wavered, the fear that drove people to support Cassius. But he could control his response, his character. The example he set, the dichotomy of control held even in civil war. Practice 3. Turn obstacles into purpose. Marcus's most famous idea, what stands in the way becomes the way. The rebellion became a stage to practice justice, self-control, and mercy. A chance to demonstrate that philosophy and power can coexist. He used the crisis to show the world a new kind of victory. Victory over oneself. So was Marcus Aurelius weak? He commanded the greatest army on earth. He could have destroyed every city that supported the rebellion. He could have wiped out Cassius's family as emperors before him had done. He chose not to. Not because betrayal didn't hurt. Ancient sources suggest it wounded him deeply, but because he refused to become the kind of ruler whose power depended on fear. Revenge is reactive. It gives control to the offender. Forgiveness is sovereign. It keeps control with the one who was wronged. Marcus Aurelius died in 180 AD. His empire eventually fell, but his example survived. Not the victories, not the legions, not the borders he defended. What survived was his character, his refusal to let betrayal turn him into something smaller. The Stoics knew people can take many things: power, wealth, reputation, but they cannot take your character unless you give it to them. Revenge is giving it away. Forgiveness is keeping it. So when someone betrays you, remember Marcus Aurelius. Remember that he had every reason to destroy his enemy and chose not to. Not because he felt nothing, but because he chose to be himself, not a mirror of the one who harmed him. That is not weakness, that is strength, the kind that outlives empires. The Stoic path continues beyond this video. If this one brought you clarity, subscribe and return tomorrow to strengthen the mind again.